of the budget. And we have Kenyans from across the board talking about what this budget means to them. On the very far end, I've got Kenneth Onyango. He's a chairman of the Border Association. Right next to him is Eddie Butita. He's a content creator. Right next to him, Caroline Nyambura. She's a mboga. And right next to me here, Waithaka Gatumia is CEO of Tunaomba. Kenyans across the board talking about the budget and what it means. Dreams and expectations. Let me start with you, Kenneth Onyango, Border Association. I know you have, what, close to 300,000 members here in Nairobi alone, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Budget unaonaje, bro?
This budget, Jeff, it's just another one. I mean, we don't know where to start, because already, even before this budget is actually read tomorrow, going backwards, we have already seriously been affected. Jeff, every single day a border rider wakes up in the morning, dash to their area of operation, and before the hike of the fuel, the time when you're actually buying it at around 127, around there, we were already affected. Because my daily amount that I use for operation is around 400 shillings every day then. But today, a border rider in town here, and it even gets worse to those that are operating outskirts. It goes up to around 700, 800, to even 1,000 shillings, if at all you are going to operate from 6 and to 6 in the evening. Because the price at the pump is completely out of reach for the small man.
It's 182 now, right?
182.
And it's going to go up even more.
They've said 16% is going to be levied on fuel.
Yes.
That one means we are going to buy it at around 200 shillings. 200 per litre? It's completely unacceptable. Yeah. I don't know whether the president has a good plan, because you remember, Jeff, boda and mboga was the epitome of the campaign for the president.
Yes.
And we've not seen really the reward for those people that really formed that government.
Yeah, hold that thought there, Kenneth. Eddie Butita, yes. When you say content creator, for people who don't understand, what do you do?
Basically, I think just to explain in simple terms, a content creator is anyone who films or records anything, just to post it on social media, and does that to earn a living. So we have a variety of content creators. We have comedians, we have fashion bloggers, we have travel vloggers. So it's a whole new industry that has everyone in it. We even have doctors who create content and post online. So that's a whole new ecosystem.
What do you do?
Personally, I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm a creative director and a writer. And currently I'm creating a comedy series that run online called Nas Toto. And also I run digital online media, which specifically focuses on pop culture and just news, basically.
Is it paying? Does it pay the bills? Is it lucrative?
It makes sense. It makes sense because it keeps growing every year.
But for you, do you make money? I mean, are you comfortable?
Yes, that's what's sustaining us currently. I think after COVID, it became the main thing that we were doing, because we were doing comedy on stage. We were organizing events and people used to come to these events. Then all of a sudden the country was shut and we could not do events anymore. So we were creating content and posting online, but luckily enough, they started generating income from these social platforms and also started attracting corporates in a way that we were able to sustain our livelihoods. And it grows bigger because behind every content creator, there's a team that is working with them. Behind every creator, there's a cameraman, there are writers, there are editors. So this is a whole new industry. Yeah.
Absolutely. Caroline Nyambura, named after my mother, Nyambura.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Where do you operate out of, and what do you do?
I operate in Wakulima Market, Marigiti, kama mama mboga. Na biashara ijakuwa nzuri. Before COVID, kama mimi nilikuwa napata 600.
Kila siku?
Kila siku. Hadi saa hii napata 600 na maisha imepanda. So inaniumiza. Maisha imekuwa ngumu. We are affected na kila kitu haiko sawa. Na ile kitu ningeomba, kile kinachochea sisi sana, ile inaturudisha nyuma kama nchi. Maandamano hakuna kitu mzuri inatuletea kama mama mboga. Inaumiza biashara zetu, na ningeomba kitu ingine. Honorable Raila akubali alishindwa, na President Ruto akubali alishinda, na aendeshe nchi vile inafaa iende. Hivyo ndio ningeomba kama mama mboga. Yeah. Wakati hizo vitu zote zinaumiza mama mboga, vitu zinaoza, customer kuna tension. Na kwa jumla ningeambia well wishers, NGOs, juu hizi vitu si ati ni hii government imeleta, zilikuwa before COVID. COVID imekuja, alafu serikali kaingilia kwa mambo ingine. So ningeomba kama kuna NGO well wishers waingilie, wakuja wasaidie.
Hebu niambie, 600 shillings a day you make, eh? Sio? Na expenses zako za kila siku. Hebu niambie.
Ni mbaya. Mbaya.
Niambie, break it down.
Unga ni 200. Hey, Jeff, tunaishi kwa madeni.
Unga ni 200, alafu sukari
ni 180.
Correct.
Mafuta lita moja ni 220.
You already ni 580. And
na nina watoto ninasomesha.
Wagapi?
Ni moja.
Ni kama una wengi unasema kumbe.
Unajua ukiwa kama sasa wangu mmoja. Yeah. Nina mwingine hapo wa my brother. So si ni wako?
Yeah, ni wako.
Yes. Unaweza jifikiria wewe uko na mmoja lakini ni wengi.
Yeah. So at the end of the day hata huna ya kutosha.
Hauna hata ya kusave.
Hakuna savings, hata hujaenda M-Pesa. Hujalipa madeni, hujalipa rent. Ni
kubaya. Hiyo ndio ukweli ilio. Hiyo ndio ukweli iko kwa mama mboga. Hizo ndio zile vitu wanapitia.
When you hear the folks here, and the pleas from the people, imagine if it's tough for people like us, what's it like for them?
It's hard to imagine. Let's just be honest. And as a nation, we have to be aware of that. And so when I come and speak in a place like this, I have to be aware of it. There are certain principles. And I loved over the last couple of weeks the public participation around the budget. So people are actually bringing their views and saying, this is not going to work. And I love the representation that is there. But now it's in the hands of those who are in the leaders. And no matter what, please, Jeff, has there been a year that you've heard there's been no inflation in this country?
No.
In fact, it has been even worse in our lifetimes, at least that you can be able to remember. Where we've had, I think it was in the 1990s, inflation hit up about 43%. So you're going from 1 year when bread is 7 shillings. I think that was 92. 93, it was 15 shillings. So you can see more than double in that period of time. So this will always happen. So at Centonomy, we are focused on helping the individual to manage their money. Because we can speak here and we speak and ask the president and ask all the leaders, please help us and do various things. But at some point, it's about me. And here's an example. People often think that maybe if I'm a low-income earner, I don't overspend on certain things. Can I give you a quick example?
Go on.
So we have a wonderful house help. She's an amazing lady. We do our best to pay her above minimum wage. And I think we're doing well in that way. But we noticed something. Every time we called her, there's a new song playing for us on her phone. So you can imagine, at that income level, if she's paying for new songs on her phone every time that we pick it up, we calculated she was paying over 10 shillings per day on her phone. And she wasn't aware of that number.
Wow.
And look, I love to express myself and I love the entertainment industry, so I'm not trying to stop that. I'm just saying she wasn't aware. And so for all of us, if we're going to find success around our finances, we have to start with awareness. We have to.
Yeah.
So that's at that level.
Good point. Good point. I like that.
I mean, if we're not aware, if for me, I always share this example, when I became aware of our spending, this is the one I'm allowed to share by my sweetheart, my wife. And
she's watching it.
She's watching, so that I can be able to say this. We discovered, this is now about 12 years ago, that we were spending more on takeout food than our rent. Middle class Kenyans, can we talk to them? We were spending more on takeout food than our rent because it was 200 shillings there, 200 shillings there. And I thought it was a middle class problem until a couple of days ago we were training the vendors for one of the, how would I say, they provide, what are they called, FMCGs. So they're on the street. I don't want to name the company. But we're dealing with vendors on the street. Right. And we were asking them, so what do you spend on the day? And they said, in the morning, I usually get a cup of tea. And that cup of tea is how much?
30 bob.
30 bob. Then, at about 10, we get some fruit. How much is the fruit?
50 bob.
50 bob. At lunch, you see? She's helping me already.
Nyambura knows.
Good. At lunchtime, you buy lunch. How much is that lunch?
Average.
Lunch.
Yes, lunch.
Chapona.
You know.
Chapona.
70.
70.
Okay.
At 4 o'clock, uji. By the end of it, we were seeing most of them were spending about 250 shillings on food.
A day.
At their workplace.
A day.
A day. Wow. But they were not aware of it because they were not writing it down.
That's more than 1,000 a week. Wow.
So if we cannot take responsibility for our own money, we can complain all we want to the government, we'll never get out of it. Because Jeff, I train also senior executives. We are called in by all these big companies and saying, hey, this is a senior executive earning 6, 7 figures and they're still in debt. Why? Because they can't manage their money.
I need to talk to you on the side.
Senior executive.
Kenneth, let me go to you.
Yeah.
Do you still ride boda?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
What's your route?
My route is, I actually work within the Central Business District, the CBD.
Okay.
And we don't have specific routes for boda.
What time does your day start?
My day starts around 5:30 in the morning.
What time do you get home?
Nowadays, we go back home at around 12 midnight.
Midnight?
Yes.
From 5:30 a.m.?
So that I can go home with something. Because it doesn't make sense going back home at around 6 in the evening.
Yeah.
Because by evening, you've already paid all the bills. Sasa una kitu.
Ebu niambie, on a regular day,
Yeah.
how much are you taking home at midnight? How much are you taking?
A good day for a boda that works all those hours actually is more than over 15 hours.
Yeah.
In a good day, you actually get like 2,000 shillings.
On a good day?
On a good day.
Na umeweka mafuta?
Sasa 2,000 shillings is the amount of money that is in my pocket.
After mafuta, after
Bado
lunch?
hujatoa mafuta.
Hujatoa?
Sasa tuanze mafuta.
Okay.
You remove the fuel at the pump around 800 shillings. You remain with 1,200. Now 1,200 utoe kwa those guys that are still hiring motorcycle. Yeah. Because you hire with 500 shillings.
A day?
A day. Now that one deduct from 1,200, you remain with around 700. Now this 700 start budgeting with it. Utoe.
Na hujakula?
Hujakula, boda siku hizi hawakulangi.
What do you mean?
Ile kitu unafanya, unachukua miwa, unakula miwa ya dhati, usurvive. Sababu it's better for you to survive so that ukule home na watoi.
Sasa miwa ya 30, how long are you going to chew it for?
You see, you are on a bike, you don't use a lot of energy walking. So the bike will carry you. At least si kama mtu anapiga mguu. It's very hard.
Si mtu wa mjengo.
Yeah, siku hizi you only survive on 1 meal in a day. Ile mnaambia watu hii tukutane home. And it's good thing the Governor Sakaja now in Nairobi comes up with a feeding program. That sasa watu hii hata shule, sasa they'll be catered for.
Yeah.
Wakule huko shule 1 meal, then wakuje tukutane home, wapige ingine home.
Na okay. Umemaliza kazi midnight.
Yeah.
Chakula utanunua saa ngapi au ushanunua ushatuma mtu nyumbani ama?
Mother ikifika 6, simu ndio hizo zishaanza kuingia. Tutakula nini?
Tuma kakitu.
In fact, nowadays, we don't even buy this unga ya 200. Tunaenda kufanya ile rego, ile ya kusiaga. Because it's too expensive even to buy this one ya 200. We actually channel lines kwa the posho mills so that you can actually buy the one that goes a bit cheaper kidogo.
Na hiyo ni ya just leo, ni ya leo tu?
We don't have a plan nowadays, Jeff, to budget for the entire week or a month. You only budget for a day. Our money that we make every single day ni ya hiyo siku. Kesho itajipa. The also that nowadays you try to connect so many things so that you can actually make a living. Yeah. It's very, very hard for someone that is in Nairobi. Rent iko hapo, the school fees, you still pay school fees, and it's very, very difficult. Nyambura. Remember, Jeff, yes, there is something that in boda that so many people don't know. Go on. The industry that I represent today is an industry that has employed so many of the people, not only the ones that are riding, actively riding, those are the ones employed directly in the industry. There are those that are selling spare parts. There are those guys that are mechanics that are actually repairing our bikes. Now, when it becomes very difficult for me, it's double tragedy for the guy that is doing mechanic huko. Kwa sababu nisipopelekea bike, he cannot earn a living. Yeah. Now, it's very, very hard. The guys that are in government, when they're actually making policies that are going to be pushed on our throats, I'm praying to them that they be a bit extra careful, because nowadays sasa mtu anaomba itakuwa namna gani when it's now difficult like this. You wake up in the morning unashindwa itakuwa aje. But it's a bit considerate for those guys that are in charge of counties, like for instance the governors that are in charge of counties that are still also a bit, they've reduced taxes on some lines. Kama ukikuja kama county ya Nairobi, the governor has a bit relaxed some of the taxes, because if you are taxed by national government, you are double taxed by county government, you have no any place to run to. You're completely finished. You see? Yeah. Caroline Nyambura, I saw you nodding. Are you agreeing with some of these things?
Yes, yes.
Ni kubaya?
Sana.
Huh?
Sana.
Tuelezee vizuri, tuelezee.
Ni kubaya.
And you've been in this business 20 years?
20 years. In Marigiti.
Marigiti.
Wakulima market. Na kumekuwa kubaya tangu 2019. Hakuna kitu imerudi vile ilikuwa. So bad.
Unafika huko saa ngapi?
Saa 10. So unaweza imagine niliamka saa ngapi? Saa 9. Kila siku, hiyo ni maisha yangu. Na unasikia ile pesa ninapata? So hiyo pesa unajaribu kuigawa, haigawiki. Na sasa ile kitu mimi ningeomba. Juu bado hii serikali ni changa. Hii mswada najua itapita. 100% itapita. Sisi kama mama mboga, ile kitu tunaomba, kama ni hospitali tupate dawa. Kama ni barabara tutengenezewe. Kama ni shule kukuwe na vitabu. Tunaomba kama mama mboga. Kama ni barabara, unaona kama sama hali niko sokoni. Kama ni hiyo soko, mahitaji yetu yatimizwe. Hiyo pesa itumike vizuri. Si pesa tu iwe tu charge na itumiki vizuri. Tunaomba President, kuwe kuna watu wataangalia hiyo pesa vizuri. Isitumike vibaya. Hiyo tu ndio tunaomba. Tunajua itapita na tunajua mtoto azaliwi na akatembea. Huyu mtoto atatembea, saa hizi hata akuli. Unajua mtoto ukimzaa unamnyonyesha tu. So tunajua huyu mtoto wa UDA, hii serikali mpya, ajaanza ndiye ananyonya, akule, atembee. Tunajua hii serikali at the end of it itafanya mambo mzuri. Na kila kitu itarudi back to normal. Lakini kwa sasa pesa yetu ichungwe vizuri.
Eddie Butita. Yes. How is your normal day? Give us a sampling.
My normal day, I wake up, my day starts at around 7. I go to the office where we run a creative agency, meet some of my people and try to look at the day after, how it was in terms of how our ideas were, plan our next shoots. So it differs. There's some days we are planning on what to shoot, and there's some days we are shooting fully. When we are shooting, we start from 6 to around 5. And there are days that we take a rest because our work, that's how it is. You might take Monday to Wednesday planning, shoot on Thursday only, then Friday take a rest, or the weekend. Yeah.
And payments, do they come regularly or it depends?
So now I think our industry flows with the way other industries are flowing, because our income mainly is from marketing. Because how we earn from platforms is based on the number of ads that run within your content. how we earn from corporate, it depends on if they're marketing or pushing a product or service. So that is also affected with how people are spending. So I remember towards holidays, Easter's, towards December, important days, we usually have a spike in spending, and you'll see most corporates spending around that time. So it fluctuates. We don't have a consistent pattern of income, but there are times when we make money, and there are times when we call it a dry season for the industry, where mainly when you're going to the next quarter. From the first quarter of the year going to the next quarter, you'll find out that most companies are trying to lock their budgets for the next quarter. And
tell me something, usually when you get paid, right, there's a withholding tax of 5%, right?
Yes. When a client pays you for doing, for example, you're doing an influencer marketing job and they pay you 100,000, they'll withhold 5, so you'll get 95,000.
And in the proposed budget, when in the beginning, they were going to raise it to 15%, right? Which is not going to happen now, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I saw on the news today it's going to 3%. And now that's one area that we've had a lot of confusion. Because from the beginning, I feel like they didn't involve directly content creators in knowing exact thing that has been happening in regards to tax. Because when corporates pay you and you get money for advertising or in your projects, they deduct 5%. And when you run a company that invoices on your behalf, they put VAT. The VAT will apply when the company as a VAT obligation. So the 5% and the 16% has been there. So this other 15, the 5 and 16 has been there. This new 15,
or 3, or whatever they say.
Yeah, that's what we don't know where it applies exactly. Yeah. Was it going to replace the withholding that has been there, or was it a new thing? So I figured out that maybe when they were doing the calculations, they were doing it based on YouTube earnings and the Facebook earnings, which is yet, it will be coming soon to the country, monetizing on, because when platforms pay you, they, like when YouTube pays you, they deduct some money
from overseas.
From overseas.
Correct. And then when it gets here,
you after deducting, you get the remainder. So it's up to you now to file that.
And that one normally wants to deduct further from that.
Now that one normally goes to the now yearly when you're filing in the income tax, where you are supposed to pay a certain percentage back to the government. That one has been applying there. So I felt like this 15% was supposed to come at this pace. Now when YouTube pays me, maybe they deduct the percentage and now the government takes 3. Right. But now we go back to the taxes that have been existing.
Well, that's very confusing, huh? I mean, you see that?
Yep. Look, the government has to collect tax. I think we all agree on that fact. And I think where there's an issue in this scenario is maybe a bit of the education, the civic education that we're looking at, and I think that will come. The idea around the withholding tax is that they're trying to collect in advance, so that it's a cash flow issue, the advance, and then you can be able to claim on it later. And so whether this now falls into that I think there's a bit more clarity that needs to come in there. But Jeff, if you don't mind for a second, I think maybe I left a point hanging.
Go on.
I didn't mean that we should not eat lunch, drink tea, and have uji at the office. I think that's important. I think that's important. But I was thinking, for that same 250 bob that we were discussing earlier, if you bought the unga yourself and cooked uji, and had some tea at home and carried it, maybe you invest in a small thermos that you can carry and carry to the office, there would be some savings in that respect. And often, come on, we're Africans. At whatever level, you don't cook just enough. There's usually a little bit left. If you can be able to carry something to the office, that's what I meant, if you don't mind. But you wanted to add to that?
I think maybe you can help me in this, because now I've tried both formulas. I used to feel like I was spending so much when buying food, takeout food, because actually I used to have a joint that you'll see, it appeared like it's my house, because they used to know my time. So now, wet fry beef was my favorite. It was going at 250 shillings. So I buy wet fry beef. It comes with small kamanagu and ugali. Imepangwa tu vizuri, wamepanga kazi. Na nisukume avocado ya 10. So now I want you to explain how I can eat the same meal with 250, given that now I have to buy meat, unga, kamanagu, mafuta. So
na gas pia usisahau.
Na gas and time.
And time.
So where do we draw the line of saving when you're cooking at home versus takeout? Or is there a takeout that now makes sense? Because I'm sure when you are spending so much on takeout, maybe your lunch was 1,000 shillings.
No. It was exactly that 250 that you're saying. This was for a household.
Because now...
So that's me and my wife, just so that you understand. So she's buying at her office, and I'm buying. So that's how much?
5.
So for me...
Times 5, because it's Monday to Friday.
2.5.
So
okay, now then I have to admit, on Saturday now you go somewhere.
Yeah.
So we all go somewhere.
Yeah. Because for me, I felt like this formula applies to families only. Because when you, it's cheaper to cook a lot of food than to cook food for one person.
Yes. Correct.
That's what I felt, because she said at lunch we'll use 70 bob to eat chapati mbili and maragwe. You explain to me how 70 bob can cook chapati mbili and maragwe.
Unakula lunch?
Yes.
What do you eat normally?
Marikiti. Kuna maharagwe na ugali.
How much?
Hiyo 70 bob na supu. Unaweka maji mingi.
So here's the thing, Jeff. I'm trying to get us to problem solve.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Yes.
So, in fact, hold on. Let's hold that thought.
Fine, no
Let's hold that thought. Because how do we problem solve?
Yes.
And how do we save without being frugal? Huh?
Yeah.
You know, sikushikilia pesa ati save it for a rainy day.
Correct.
Sure. Let's take a break. We have a great conversation here today, folks. We've got Kenneth Onyango, head of the Board Association, Eddie Butita, content creator, Caroline Nyambura, she's a mama mboga, and Waithaka Gatumia, he's with Centonomy. Talking about the budget, talking about dreams and aspirations and expectations. It's tough out there, folks. Tighten those seatbelts. It's gonna be a rough ride. In the meantime, keep tweeting at Krenanga Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.